Can you do a video where you go deep on your understanding of the absolute and the I am? Yes, I've been working. I've slowed down a bit on content, but it's only because I have been doing a lot of work and writing on and planning out these more of the in-depth. One of the things I find that is the complete catastrophic failure of teachers today is not understanding how this works truly, right? What happens is there's buzzwords at like quantum physics and quantum jumping and all this bullshit that no one has any proof of. And so what it does is it turns manifesting into a blind faith mockery thing. And it's just like for my way I can relate this is like the Roman Catholic Church. It's like there's all that like the way I was taught it was that here, just believe in this. Just believe in this with no proof. But then you prove it wrong and then you're crushed and you're hurt. And you're like, screw that. This is all lies. So there's people today and now doing that, right? Which is why it's really bad. So what I've been doing is working more on how to condense how to condense proving who you truly are, which is God, how to condense that in a way that I can put it in a video in these short condensed 10-minute videos. And so that you can prove it as you go. And so that you don't have to think like this is some big mystical thing, man. Like one of the things that I've found, okay, this is not to offend anybody, but this is the way that I have seen this happen is that, so you talk about manifesting, right? We're saying, okay, manifestation is a mystical, magical thing. This is true, okay? But we are not going to experience things in a different way after we learn how to manifest them. We're not going to be jumping into these random dimensions. We're not going to be these types of things that people are teaching it's the reason it's bad is like when I say dimension, jumping into different dimensions, like people are giving this idea that you're going to go to a different place, right? Like somewhere where you were never before. It is true that we are selecting different dimensions, but they are explaining in a way that makes it hocus pocus, right? Like someone will say like, oh, there's no such thing as time. And when someone says that, you're like, oh, they must see things. They must experience these magical things that no one experiences, right? Who gets that impression when people say things like that? Like there's no time or you're going to jump to a different dimension. Like, do you think that it's some magical thing that you're going to experience a different place? You're going to see something that you've never seen before. Who has that belief? Or who? Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So the problem is like when someone says there's no time, right? And this is what I used to think too because of them being misled is someone would say there's no time. And they would say, yeah, no, there's no time, man. And I'd be like, whoa, that person must experience a different reality than I am. That master must experience things different than me. I want to see the way that he sees, right? Or everything is one, right? Like there's two possibilities. The first one, like when someone said that to me, like even Neville, he said, everyone's you pushed out, or we're all one. I'm like, how does he see? He must see in a different way than me. I want to see like him. That's what I'm seeing a lot of now, like dimension jumping in this. We do it, but we don't do it in a way where we will ever experience something different than we've ever experienced it, right? It's just understanding what's happening behind the scenes. Like when I say there's no future or past, I'm not saying that I see things any differently than you. It's just go to the past. Go now to the past. Where is it? You can't, right? So these truths that we are being taught, these truths about manifesting are not different ways of actually perceiving different things. It's a different way to understand the truth, right? These perceptions which we take for granted, right? What modern society teaches us, such as, you know, there is a past or there is a future or things of that nature, right? We take them for granted, but they're not true. And there's ways to experience this reality the same way as I experience it now, but with different understanding of how it works. That's the way manifesting should be taught, right? And so when you ask this question, you say, can you do a video where you go into the deep on your understanding and the absolute, of the absolute and the I am, the foundation stone? That's what I've been working on, is outlining different ways to explain this very quickly. So that, like for instance, I can tell you, right? So Neville says everything exists within your imagination. What does he mean when you say that, right? So an average person, so if I told you this, or you heard this from Neville, you think like, and this is what I used to think, whoa, this is all just my imagination. Like, this is all fake, right? Who has ever thought that before, that that's what he means by that? Exactly. That's not what he means, right? Or everything is one. These are statements that are, you think, wow, what he's saying works, so what he's saying must be true. So when he says everything exists in your imagination, what he means is everything exists within your awareness. So what does that mean? Everything exists within your awareness. Again, that sounds like some mystical, magical stuff, like this all exists within you, right? Raise your hand if you can relate to that. This all exists within your awareness. What? This is all within my awareness? What do you mean? Wow. So what he means is, right, and like he says these things, but these are teachings from thousands of years of all these different religions. He's just explaining it in a way about manifesting, which is the truth. So the fact that we are perceiving all of this, all perception. So you can say now, you experience your phone, you can hear me, or your computer, you can hear me, you can think, right? You can see what you're wearing, you can see what I'm wearing. All of that is known, right? You know all that. Like, you can't experience something that you don't know, right? Does everyone agree? You can't experience something that you don't know. Everything known, you're aware of everything you're known, or everything that's known. You are aware of everything that you know. You can't know something you're not aware of. You can't know something you're not aware of. Go now in your awareness to something that you don't know. You can't, because as soon as you go there, you know it. So therefore, everything exists that you experience in your awareness. It's simple, so simple. And it doesn't mean anything more than that, right? But so that means everything exists within something called awareness. You can never step outside of your awareness. Go outside of your sight, right? So your sight starts right here. And so you see everything through your sight, right? Go now and step outside of your sight and see something. You cannot. You never can. No one ever has. No one ever has experienced anything outside of their senses or their awareness. And so that awareness is the God of Scripture, that awareness. It sounds crazy, I know, but that awareness is the God of Scripture. It's aware of everything. It's aware of everything that you're aware of. And we have access to that in our imagination. That awareness, right? So here's the thing. This awareness that we are all inside, right? So technically, all of this, we're inside of awareness, right? Because we can never go outside of awareness. So there's matter and there's mind, right? But it all matter and mind exist within awareness. And so everything is one substance called awareness. Does that make sense? Raise your hand. I know it sounds kind of trippy, but this is the truth, is that it's not matter or mind, which is why vibration doesn't matter, mood doesn't matter. None of that is the cause. The cause is awareness. And so we have access to shaping our awareness through our imagination. right? We go in and we imagine something. And then in a mystical way, this awareness begins to change and we become that person. We experience that thing. So these types of things are important to understand, right? I mean, you could still manifest without knowing them, but you'll get caught up in thinking that you're jumping to some weird, strange dimension, or you'll get caught up in thinking that time is an illusion or some weird thing like this. But the truth is like you'll fall prey to blind faith is basically what I'm saying, which is what happened to me, what happens to all of us if we don't know the truth behind what happens. Now, the beautiful thing is, and this is where I come from, is that we can test all of it. All of it is testing. Oh, it's testable. So if someone ever says something that they can't prove, like for me, if I ever said something that I can't teach you how to prove, call me out on it. Like that, or call anyone out on it, right? Because it's important. This stuff is so important to know the truth. So you can prove that your awareness is God. It's the God of Scripture. You can prove that there's no time in the future or the past because you can never step into it. Right? You can prove that your imagination creates reality because whatever you imagine will eventually be expressed outward.